So the last time we left off from here, we were just about to start making the other edge flows which fit in the face. We start to that, bring everything together. It gives us good milestones, or good areas to connect into, and then we can start thinking about laying in the ear, laying in the whole back of the head area, laying in the cheeks and the nose. So let's go ahead and do that first. So I'm going to start off by heading in and making what I call the mask. It needs a better name than that because that's a terrible name. But the mask is a group of edge flows which comes from the side of the head, round and outlines the jaw, and then goes into the front of the chin. Now I find this a really nice and very useful edge flow to put in because then it gives you this really nice shape for the jawline. If you've got a character which has got a very defined jaw, then you've got that really nice edge flow in which to define it. Or if you've got a character which has got a very maybe they're like they've not got a whole lot of definition inside the jaw, it doesn't matter. You don't need that edge flow in there at that point, but you know, in case you do need it, it's there. And just building it into everything you do just gives you a nice form. Plus, when you're talking and you're moving your mouth around, it'll give you a really nice deformation around the jaw, and it won't pull and stretch anything. Hopefully, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my head, and I'm going to look at the top part of the head, around here, around the side of the head, and I'm going to look around the ear as well. I'm going to see if there's any edge flows I can see which run just in front of the ear. So I'm actually seeing this edge flow here running around and then down in front of the ear. So what I'm going to do is grab that edge there and extrude it down to the corner of the jaw here. So let's just extrude like that, bring that all the way down to the bottom of the jaw like that. And then obviously this edge here is still facing down. I'm going to turn it, or I'm going to make the edge now face down towards the front of the chin. This is what I want, this shape. So I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to extrude again, and I'm going to bring that all the way down to the front of the chin, like that. Brilliant. Cool. Now, obviously, from the front and side, we've not got the right shape, so I'm going to bring it and flatten it out to the front of the jaw, like that. So then we're actually completing our loop, but obviously we're not connecting it to anything just yet, but I know that I want it to be inside this area. Now one thing I am going to do is make sure that I'm not connecting it to an edge where I'm actually starting to close off this area at the bottom of the chin. You'll see what I mean in a second. So if I just move that out of the way, I'm going to bring this edge up and bring this edge up there, and I'm going to grab this face I've just extruded and I'm going to bring it into this area here, like that. You can see there, that gives me this extra edge, this extra open space here. But I've still connected it to my chin area. It's still coming around the side of the head into my chin. And then from the front I can just start to fix anything that needs obvious fixing, so like jawline. Always remembering, especially in this stage, to look at your perspective. Actually move around, make sure stuff's working. Because it might look good in the front and the side view, but it doesn't mean it's going to look good in the perspective view. So, there we go. And then I'm going to put another edge at the top and another edge in the bottom there. Like that. And then just like I've done before, I'm just going to start softening that curve out, and down here I'm going to start tracing the jawline a little bit more. And then taking it to the perspective view or the front view and just getting that form in there a little bit more. And this dude down here can do the same thing. Cool. Now this edge I've added down here, I'm going to match up this edge with another edge in the jawline here inside the mouth area. So if I actually go to my mouth area, this edge here, I want this edge to be running into this edge here, so like that. So as we follow it down, this is going to be hitting it like that. Of course, by adjusting it there, I need to do a little bit of more moving around in the front and the side view, but there we go. So now outlining, just like I've done up here and what we will do later on. I've started to outline this edge flow from the bottom of the lip that goes into the side of the jaw. Okay, and then I can see how many more edges are in that area. So if I look at this, I've got one more edge there. And I can just add that in like that, and then adjust its position. Here we go. So now at that stage, I can start to bridge, connect stuff together. Starting to fill up the space. So just like what I did up here in the lip mask, I'm starting to fill up that space. Okay. Now I'm going to add one more in these three areas here. Like that. So just the same thing, just adding in those edges and doing some adjustments. Cool. So at this stage I've just gone through and done a little bit of cleanup, adjusted a few edges which I thought needed to be just regulated, especially around the bottom of the lips, needed a bit more regulation, seemed a bit too clustered. I also went in and changed this edge flow. I actually detached it from this edge back here, and I just reattached it to this edge here. I just, after looking at this, after stepping away and coming back for a minute, I found that this area just inside the temple, behind the eye, which is a little bit too big before, so I've actually closed that off. So I've only got two edges across this gap here now. So with that done, now it's time for me to start filling stuff up. So number one, I'm going to be filling up the gap in between the nose running into the cheek. And then from there I'm going to start moving stuff around and deciding where I'm going to send edges. So quite simply, I'm going to go and start to bridge from the ridge of the nose, like that. And now I've come to this point here. Now I can see that I've got an edge running down into the cheek there, but I've not got an edge in this part of the cheek down here. So in this case, all I'm going to do is just literally split this edge, which I can do because I've not got so much topology going on in this area, so that affords me a little bit more space to just add one edge in there, and then I can bridge all this area together up to the cheek there, like that. So now it's time to actually start filling in the gap inside the cheek area here. Now that's relatively simple. You just got to, especially when you're learning, you just got to spend a bit of time and just kind of like look at what, try and like look at where you're sending stuff, or look where you can send stuff, and experiment. And not everything's going to be the same. You know, a character with bigger eyes, your edge flow is probably going to be different around your eyes. People with bigger mouths, bigger general faces, small face, you know, it can vary from person to person. So completing one of the major edge flows inside the face is across the bridge of the nose that runs into the cheek and then runs into either the side of the face or the ear or into the jaw. Again, it completely depends on the outcome you're looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this edge flow into the cheek, and a very specific part of the cheek. I'm going to send it into here, part where the zygomatic arch is, and then that will flow into the actual ear itself. And I'm just going to bridge this like that, just completing that edge right there. I'm just going to put one division in it for now, and I'm going to bring that one division forward so that I can send it into this edge here. So this edge is going to come around, hit this one, and this is going to go down. So vertex, snap it in, merge those so it's one object. Nice. Okay. This next step is going to be quite a large jump in what we've got and what we're going to finish off, but we can start filling in a lot of this cheek area quite fast. So what I'm going to do is, in this edge flow we sent around into the cheek here, this one we just made, I'm going to split this area here just before the ear in half, like that. And I'm just going to complete that area, like so. And then I'm going to turn these two edges down here into these two edges here, like that, with one division in the middle, like that. So I can just take this into here. I've just merged that section. See if we've got any. Nope. And then obviously inside this cheek area here, we've got a six-sided shape. But if you take two of those edges off, I'm going to get four. So, like so. There we go. Now, what I do need to do in this here is obviously fix some of the edge flow. We've got a little bit of gathering, a little bit too many straight lines. This is going to be a soft form object, so I need to actually go in there and get some of that delicate facial features back in. So that'll take me a little bit of time, but nothing too difficult. Cool. So that's the front of the face done, and in there I can obviously check all my different images and make sure that it's looking okay. There's some stuff in the face I've got to do around the cheeks. Obviously, if we're looking at this view, we can see we're getting a lot of sunken cheek. So just using something like the soft select, I can go in and start carefully pulling stuff out, pushing stuff in, whatever I need to do to start getting this form back into the side of the face. There's also things I can use at the end to try and get that back in there as well. But for now, that's cool. So now it's time to start laying in the ear, and then the back of the head, and then the under the chin, which is again relatively simple. It's just got to be careful in your steps you're doing. You've always got to be thinking forward about what you're doing. So I'm going to lay the ear in, and all I'm going to do first is just bring in a cube. I'm going to lay it into the position of the ear. Like a very basic ear shape. Obviously remembering that the ear isn't a flat object against the head, it actually is tilted to the side of the head. So first I'm just making a basic shape. Turn that off. So just going to make a basic shape. So like that. And what I'm not going to do is take this big face off here. I'm not going to take that off because that's basically the back of my ear. I'm going to take this edge back here and just move it back so that I can open this face. See what's going on there. And again, I'm looking at the edge flow running into the ear, and I can see that I've got this edge running across. So I'm going to split the ear in half, like that. And then to give myself a bit of vertical form as well, I'm just going to split the ear in half like that. Oh, something's gone wrong with my... that's why. Cool. There we go. So now I can give my ear a little bit more form. Like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a save, but I'm not going to save in a while. So just do a save, because this is the point where I might go back and think, oh well, the ear I've done there isn't quite working, or maybe I've got a better idea of doing another point. So make sure I've got that save. I can go back to if I need to. And now I'm going to grab the ear, the vertex on one of the corners. I'm just going to snap it to my model like that. Cool. Let's do a little bit of adjustment. My ears are a little bit strange, so I'm just, I'll leave it like that for now. Okay. So I'm just going to combine both of these together as well, because I'm going to merge and combine them like that. So now this part of the ear is fully connected to the head, and then I'm going to bridge just above the ear here down to the ear itself, creating that form there. Good. Cool. So now I'm looking at the back of the head, and I've got this whole big space here, and it's simple to fill this area in, but you've just got to be a bit aware of what you're doing and don't rush in too much without thinking, right, what am I actually doing here? So I'm not bothered about the ear looking perfect just yet. Again, I'm just trying to get it in some form, connecting to the head. So do duplicate special for this first. That. It's looking okay. That. Cool. So what I'm doing here now is I'm looking how many edges I've got running from the back of my ear up here to the back of my head. So I've got 3 edges here, and I've got 3 edges here. It might be a bit hard to see because at this point I'm having to kind of really move around certain areas, but I've got these edges back here, and I've got these edges back here. So I'm just going to bridge those straight up like that. And before I click off this, I'm then going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to count all these edges running vertically, and I'm going to give the same number of those. So that's a 6, like that. And now I'm going to spend a bit of time just to snap these and merge them to these vertex up here. Make sure I can form the back of the skull a little bit. So I'm going to pause and then bring you back when I've done that. Okay, so that's me now completed the back of the head. All I've done there is just when I've got all that geometry bridging the back of my ear to the back of my skull, and I've added those 6 divisions going down. I've then gone in and then made sure to weld them to the area that they line up with, and then go in and just, obviously I've not done a very good job, just sort out some of the topology so it's not quite as janky, but as you can see there, I'm not really spending enough time. But these are things that if I wasn't teaching, if I wasn't on a bit of a time crunch with this, then I would absolutely go in there and I would try and make it absolutely perfect. But you know what, like I was saying before, there are things we can use later on just to solve these certain things. And the whole model's not finished yet, so I expect there to be a little bit of wobbliness in the geometry. But all in all, it's looking okay. The back of our skull connected, everything's connected, looking good. So now it's just a case of filling in this area, and again, easy said than done, but it's still pretty easy. So one thing I can see lining up straight away is this jaw area here. So I can just bridge that straight away like that, and then I might end up changing it later on, but I'll bridge that as well. So I'm starting to get a bit of a sense of this starting to fill in now. Okay. So what I can do, having put that edge in there, what I can do is bridge from here to here, like that, and then from here to here, like that. And that doesn't give me a bad setup actually. Again, I might change it later on, but for now, I'm going to keep it like that. So now let's have a look at actually doing this section behind the ear. So we've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 edges up here, and then 1, 2, 3 edges down here. So we've got to start, we've got to start sending some of these edges back, or push come to shove, get rid of some of them. So let's think of how we can do that. So one thing we might have to do later on, but I'm reluctant on doing it, is actually adding maybe 1 or 2 new edges to the neck itself to accommodate some of this geometry. But I'm a little bit reluctant on doing that, like I said. One I know we can definitely do, and it's a bit of a weird one, is I can send this edge flow here round top of the head and then into my jawline. Now it's a bit of a crazy one, but it does alleviate some areas of the mesh. We can also put another division in the neck here, so that'll accommodate 2 edges there. So yeah, like I said, keep that in there. Send that guy back there. Yeah, come here. Add that to that. I can put division back there. Okay, after staring at this for a little bit and doing a little bit of testing, the way I've come to actually complete the back of the head is pretty simple. Quite simple, actually. There you go. Yeah, quite simple, actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send some of these edges around the back of the head here. So, for instance, this one here, I'm going to send that back into the back of the head. Same with this one. This one's going to go back into the back of the head. So put a division back here like that. And then bridge from here, from here to here, like that. And then that gives me this back here. So let me just adjust some stuff here now. I need to drag these down. You can see I'm stretching that edge flow a little bit, so I have to just do a little bit of doctoring, pushing this area a little bit. Okay. Then do the same thing underneath or here. I'll split this one. Oops. Split this one in half. Like that. I'm going to send this into it like this. Like that. And then this one and go over here. Like that. Obviously add that division in there so I can snap that into place. Okay, so let's do some adjusting. And what that leaves me is 3 edges up here, 3 edges down here, with an edge either side splitting it. So I can grab these 3, and then bridge. Boom. There we go. And that is now a completed back of the head. And it doesn't look super nice at the minute because it's only just been done. But remember, we need to go in there and then just fix our topology. Remember the edge slide and the transform constraint is super useful for this sort of stuff. You can move stuff around without losing the form too much. Obviously, if you overdo it, then you will lose it. Oh, so you can see there I'm just pressing 3 to check if there's any issues. You can see where we've got these little weird pointy sections. That is an issue. I think that means that I've not properly, the bridge hasn't properly worked. So I'm just going to click, with it just in object mode, I'm just going to click merge, and that should take every one of these vertex and try and merge it. Hey, there we go. That's fixed it. So that's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good there. Yeah, so a little bit of cleaning up he's doing, I think. Especially if you're quite if you become quite fastidious about your edge flow, you're gonna see stuff like this, and you're just gonna want to desperately clean it up. So this was a lot of not trial and error, but a lot of experimenting to see what, well, calculated experimenting to see what edge flows are going to work. Because, like I said, you can work on the same project, but for some reason, one head needs a different, not a completely different edge flow, but it might just need a little bit of a edge flow than something else. So, like, say if you've got a very, very strong male, like a Ron Perlman style of face, which is very, very strong features, he's going to have one sort of edge flow. But then if you've got like an Audrey Hepburn character in the same project, then obviously that's going to need a completely different edge flow because the faces are very different. So this is why practice is good for this sort of stuff. Practice, practice, practice. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do the mouth, do the eyes, and then come back to the nose. The nose is probably my least favourite bit to do because it's a little bit annoying. So I'll just do these other two sections and then we'll do the nose. So to complete the eye, it's very easy. Well, to complete the eye before adding any other detail to it, it's very easy. Because all I need to do is select this whole ring and then I'm just going to extrude it in and then move it back and then extrude one more time and then move that like that. Because all I want to do back here is just close it off into a bit of a cone so that if for whatever reason the character's eyes are very like surprised, you're not just going to see through into an infinite void, you're going to see something. And then I can start adding a little bit more detail. So predominantly doing this with a multi-cut. I'm going to go in for this here and then just soften it out so it's not as drastic. And then multi-cut again. So this is going to be the point where I get the major crease of the eyelid now. So about middle of the way, I'm going to grab these guys and move back. Maybe even this one as well. Cool. Grab these guys and just move back a little bit. Now remember, you don't want to make the under the lower eyelid as pronounced as the upper eyelid, because that's going to look weird. The lower eyelid hasn't got as much flesh to fold into itself, so don't worry about making that super pronounced. Okay, and then maybe one more around here, just to give ourselves, again, not the whole ring, just a certain section of it. Pull that out. Pull this bottom section out. Take a bit of time and actually look at eyes and see how they're formed. Yeah. And what I would do is wait until I get an actual eyeball in here to make any major adjustments. What I might want to do is, if I'm feeling confident enough, I might use something like the multi-cut tool here and I would cut in a tear duct. So I'm just going to go from here because I can easily fix this back here, but let's make ourselves a proper tear duct. Oh, there, yeah. There you go. So it's a basic one, but it's enough for you to actually convey a T-duct with. And one thing I would change, and I'm looking at it, is actually utilize, and I can actually do this as a very quick change. So I'm actually going to send it so it's actually wrapping around with this edge flow. So wrap around into the T-duct and then wrap back around. So I'm just going to do that change very fast. There we go. So I do something more like that, and then when I come to subdivide it later on, make more of a point of it, make it a bit more pronounced. Yeah, so you can spend a long time on doing stuff like that. It's not needed. A lot of the time you can texture it in, or if you're working off a sculpt, you can manually retopologize around that area, or even take off the normal information from that high poly. So the lips, again, quite easy. Just needs a bit of time, so I'm gonna just do a save. Like that. So it's hard to make the lips when you've got two separate objects, so I'm just going to combine this, make sure we're all one solid object. Yeah, cool. So I just need it to be selecting the entire ring of faces around the lips there. That's all I need to do. And it's a little bit weird when we first do it, but again, because it's so low poly, we can do a lot of adjustments after the fact and save ourselves a lot of time and stress later on. Cool. So I'm going to select out all the ring of the face, all the edges of the lips there, hit extrude, and then just bring that in a little bit like that. Now what I'm not going to do is close off the lips just yet. So I'm bringing in a little bit, and then I'm just closing them a little bit more like that. So already this kind of making sense of the lips. It's very good if we have the X-rays turned on for this. There we go. So what I'm going to do is make the visible part of the lips with this that I've got here. Oh, let me just delete. So I can start working on two sides now. So let's get rid of everything on that side. Do my dupe special. There we go. So I'm keeping an eye on my front view, my side view, my perspective view. I'm just going to pull these vertex to the top part of the lip back. Oops, just the top part of the lip. There, I'm just going to pull these back a little bit more. Obviously, around the corner of the mouth around here, the angled lips gets a lot shallower. There's not much of a transition from the top of the lip into the meat of the lip there. It gets a lot smaller in this area, so always got to be aware of that. Okay, so we'll do the same. Oh, this very, very corner piece as well. I can grab that and move it all the way back. This is the inside of my mouth now, so I want this to be hidden away somewhere. Yeah, hidden away. Cool. Alright, so I'll do the same thing for the top. Again, keeping an eye on this perspective view. Bring this back a little bit more. that. So you'll see there it's starting to make some pretty good sense. And now to make a little bit more detail on the lips, all I have to do is get a multi-cut tool, add in one line in the center. Now obviously that's just giving me a little bit more information I can use for my lips. Yep. Now obviously adjust carefully what I need to adjust. And for now I'm going to leave it like that because I think that's a nice amount. When I do the subdivision, it's going to give me an extra level around the mouth that I can get a bit more information with. The last bit around the mouth I'm going to do is just the points in like the peak of the philtrum here and the peak underneath the nose here. I'm going to start adding them in as well. So same thing, get that multi-cut tool. I'm just going to add one edge in there in the middle. And then just start tracing. Now again, kind of being aware of the fact what might look good from one angle might not actually work from another angle. So always be looking around, always be aware of how your movements are actually affecting the mesh itself. So it's looking pretty good so far. Now you can actually start going in there and making adjustments, because depending on your subject, you might have a subject where the corners of their upper lip around this area here actually envelop the corners of their lower lip, or you might have a person who's got an overbite, so their lower lip basically overlaps the upper lip. So you start to adjust all that stuff, and it just takes practice. It just takes practice. So I'm just going to do a little bit of adjustment here. Just try and bring this back a little bit so that we're not giving her an underbite or an overbite. We're just emphasizing that top lip a little bit more. Also remember to look underneath, because you might have, like, again, from the front and the side view it might look okay, but then when we start moving around we're going to see that, oh heck, she's got a massively spiky lip, or the angled lip is just too intense. In fact, I'm just going to move forward a little bit, move it out. Okay. Cool. So for now I'm going to leave the lips like that for now. The only thing I'm going to do now is just make the mouth bag, which is the internal part of the mouth, which contains the teeth, the tongue, everything like that. So when our character's talking, we don't just see an infinite void, or we don't see a black space. We've actually got the internal part of the mouth, and obviously depending on what the game you're making or what character you're making, this is going to be either quite a focal part of the character, especially like a monster or a character which always has like a very open mouth, or it can be very simple if you're doing something that's more realistic. Generally people don't seem to talk, well, people don't talk with very wide expressions in the real world generally. Some people do. Cool. So all I've got to do for this is count the amount of edges I've got going around the mouth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 on one side, which means 8 on the other side, which means 16. So I need 16-sided sphere. So I'm just going to make a sphere like that, and now I'm going to make it 16-sided. Make sure I'm getting my maths right. Yep, 16. Cool. So that's my initial shape for my mouth bag. I'm just going to collapse it a little bit, bring it to the center of the world, and I'm going to take off the front third of this sphere, so about that much. I'm going to take that off, and then I'm going to reverse the faces, because obviously when this is on the inside of the mouth, we're not going to see these faces, we're going to see the faces on the inside. So let's grab our mesh display in reverse like that, and then I'm going to just cut it in half like that, and then I'm going to move it back to the point where I want it to be, which is about maybe there. Stretch it out a little bit more. Cool, so now I can combine that with that half of the face. Make sure I've got everything lined up, make sure I'm not losing any. I've lost a bit of geometry. I've lost a bit of geometry on top of the head there. That's weird. So, because you've cut that, so I need to go in and fix this. Don't know when I did that. So I'm going to make sure that all the vertex in the middle of the head are actually aligned, and I've not got any that are kind of where they shouldn't be. Going down the neck, like that. So a scaling trick just to make sure everything's in the middle, then snap to the grid. Cool, everything now should be in the middle. So let's snap this to the middle of the grid, and then do a duplicate special. Come on. Cool. Well, in fact, I won't do that just yet because it's easier for me if I actually have an open space here. Because all I'm going to do now is bridge these internal faces. So there, there. Just like that. And then give it a bit of a curve here where my gum line would be. And then just as we're coming into the mouth here, just as we're entering inside here, I'm actually going to put another line and bring that in, so it's a little bit. Let's bring that to that corner there. It's a bit flat like that because what I don't want to have is a super sharp line between my external part of my lips and the internal part of my lips. I want a little bit of thickness there. Cool. So now inside there, that's where you're going to put your teeth and your tongue and anything else you might want to put in there. So that's just like soften edge. Cool. Let's do that duplicate special. Forgot where it is for some reason. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Now we can have a look around and fix anything we need to. So I'm going to leave it there for this video, and for the last video we'll be doing the nose, and then we'll be doing the cleanup and the UVing. Oh, we won't be working on the. We'll be doing the easy. So we'll take it to the very end. So we'll finish the nose. We'll do any sort of like eyelids, eyelashes, or anything like that. We'll sort out the ear to a basic level. Give it some teeth and some tongue, and then we will finish that off. Cool. Awesome.